Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, the EVS Mediaception family and our end-to-end news presentation. So again, we have a lot of ground to cover here. I'm going to go fast, but I want to give everyone here an overview of our news solution. Joining me is my colleague Owen, just off camera here. Who will field questions and or otherwise support me as necessary here. So please, if you do have questions, post them in the Q&A area of the meeting. We will try and get to them. I will try and hold them till the end, but any and all questions are good and are welcome. So the goal again today is to present you our VIA map, the media asset platform, and our end-to-end news production. Couple points I want to highlight here as we jump in. So we provide tools to allow the team, your team, to ingest, manage, edit, collaborate, archive, any and all production assets. So I understand that's a broad statement that I just made, but we stand behind it. So we are EVS. You probably or perhaps traditionally know us for our sports offerings. We are more than just that. We are fast. We are the fastest to live. That's something we're proud of and something that's baked deep into our DNA. How do we leverage that, and how do we bring you the best possible news solution? And that's exactly what we'll present here. The application VIA map that I'm going to show you is in fact a web application, and it is a variety of web apps that do a variety of functions, which we'll get into as the demo proceeds. But just to be clear, there is nothing on my laptop that I'm using to share my screen here. I'm just using Chrome and accessing all of the units of work that I need to get my job done and still be the fastest and most reliable platform that we can imagine. As a result of VIA map and as a result of the tool set we have built around our well-known servers, the user interface and the user experience is as close to the live ecosystem as we can imagine it. We pride ourselves on being fastest to air, like I said, first to the story, first to distribute, and all of the tools and everything we do is really kind of based around those principles. Everything we do is edit while capture, and everything we do is equally play while transfer. So here's a broad overview of the solution that we offer. We'll get into this at a high level. Again, if there are specific questions, by all means, please ask them in the chat. I'll start on the left of the screen there. So there's file import, which can come from traditional cameras, from mobile devices, from any and or every file ingest type imaginable. Equally, there is baseband ingest, be it SDI, be it 2110, be it compressed, SRT, NDI. All of those things contribute to the same backend and the same platform in an equally efficient and rapid manner. You'll see as we get into the demo how we handle it, how we manage these processes. I will make a fine point before I leave the left-hand part of the slide. The on-the-field journalists, so we also have this solution for disconnected workflow. We know that's a necessary component in today's world. We're all connected, but not all the time. So we have to support this notion of a disconnected workflow, and we do, and I'll explain as we dig into the demo what exactly that means. Moving from left to right, you see the creative tools that we'll talk about here highlighted as cut and create. So cut being the simple storyboard / rough cut tool, create being the full function web-based NLE. And honestly, we'll get into this as well. We have an extensive suite of monitoring tools. We call it Pulse, which gives the user or the admins full system health. And then we have Trace for our workflow management and workflow visibility. We have and or integrate to various storage mechanisms, including our own XStore or any third-party storage. Our basic premise is if we can mount it, we can use it, we can manage it. So we're as agnostic as we can imagine to that point as well. And that I would extend that to third-party HSMs, that is hierarchical storage managers, and archive systems, including cloud, be it through our tools or be it through third parties. Moving further to the right, the production tools, that is logging and Melt, are interesting. We'll talk about logging briefly because it's a useful tool to give the broad overview of points in time to a newsroom. So it's really interesting that I have an interview, but how do I find the answer, the soundbite that I need? So we have a logging application. It can be a dedicated logging operation, or it can be just as needed. As I stumble upon something, I click a button and I add a marker, a locator across the asset, and I'll explain as we get into it. We, of course, support craft editing. So yes, we're proud of Create. We've spent a lot of time and effort on it. By just in full disclosure, I'm an editor by trade, so I'm very sensitive to this topic. We fully support Adobe and we fully support Avid. We are not of the mind that the creative team, the craft editors, should conform to us, but rather we should conform to the tool the given user wants. And I'll demonstrate some of that as we go along. We have workflow orchestration baked into the tool as well. I'm not sure we're going to have time to get into it too much today, but be aware we have a full transcoding capability. We have workflow orchestration and management baked in. Then moving further to the right, we have a tool called Media Hub. It is a distribution portal. I often describe it as a self-serve shopping portal. Users can come in. So if I'm a station group and I have a bunch of stations I wish to share media between, I can post it on this site, and by that I mean just clicking a visibility flag. And now it is available for others to come self-serve shop and download to themselves or otherwise make use of the content. We won't get into that today because we just will not have time, but it's a really interesting part of our solution. And again, if there's questions or comments, we welcome the opportunity to discuss. We are I shouldn't say of course, but we are well known for our robust playout operations. So we have the hardware-based server shown there as XS Via. We have the software-based server shown there as XS Neo. Both are supportable in the ecosystem that we're about to discuss. And obviously, to survive in a newsroom environment, we need to integrate with other NRCS tools. And we have various ways of doing that. And obviously, social media and outbound file delivery is an important component of any modern newsroom. So we have social media publishing, posting tools baked in, as well as standard file delivery for other and unknown things. So as we press on here, I'm not going to spend too much time. I'll just let you absorb the information on this. We understand, as I said, that the world, and particularly the world in news, is interconnected. So we know we have to integrate with others. We do so happily. Okay, I want to make sure that that's clear, and we understand where storage, where cameras, where automation and editing. I'm not going to go around the whole wheel there, but we understand our role here, and we understand when others do an excellent job, we want to fully integrate them to provide the best possible end user experience. Here are all of the applications. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I'm going to actually demonstrate them, so it's much more interesting. Notice, though, on the lower right there, custom apps. So everything we do is web-based, as I had mentioned. Everything we do, everything we present to the user, uses our own APIs to talk to our backend. That means you, as an organization, can easily write your own custom pages, your own custom apps, and use and or take advantage of the things that we offer in a much more customized sort of way. So I have now logged into my VIA Map system. I always need to caution, I'm logged in as an admin. I therefore see all of the units of work. I therefore, all of the applications shown there. I also have full rights and privileges in the system. Not all users will have that. So again, I am an admin. I have full super user authority. If I'm an ingest operator or an import, a camera card wrangler, maybe I only see import. Maybe I only see ingest. If I'm a journalist, maybe I only see cut and create, depending on my level of skill. So these things, these units of work, these applications are definable by user rights, and I'll make a point of it while I'm here. User rights extend to everything we do in our system. User rights are applied to assets, to folders, to outbound targets, to anything and everything are constrained and managed by user rights. So I'm going to start at the beginning, because I think that makes the most sense for our demo, with ingest. Now we have several ways of ingesting. I'm going to show you the timeline-based scheduling system. We do have a crash record app, to be clear. That's more meant for studio operations, where I set up a template and the director says roll to record, and I roll when on demand. I hit the big red button. So I'm in my ingest scheduler. Again, this is, I presume, a reasonably intuitive interface where time is represented on these horizontal lines. Here are my ingest channels. Here is my router control shown here. So if I wish to switch that output, so I just switched that to a different cross point, so you can see the thumbnail updating. Notice also we're logging, so there was a source switch here, so we know if there's a record event somewhere in the middle there, that is logged as well. So we know what source was routed to what output. Again, this is a fairly straightforward process. There's 3 ways of making an ingest job. I can hit the red button. It will grab timecode now and open the form. I can hit plus, where likewise it will open the form that's pretty much empty, and or I can drag and drop. So I always prefer to do the drag and drop thing because notice I have gone in the past. I have set my record start time in the past. We are EVS. We are always, always, always in record. That's just fundamental to the solutions we offer. And it's always a good way for me in a demo to highlight that fact. So again, I did a drag and drop, and I purposefully did it in the past. So from here, I can multi-select, so I can apply this job to more than one input. Notice, by the way, the source selector is grayed out because I did it in the past, and there's history there. I can, of course, switch in the future. The name here is defined by a template. The media manager put a template on this, but I am free to reorganize this as I wish. So I'll just put that on it. Here are all the variables that are available in the naming template. So date and time in any format you could imagine. Source name from the router, all of those things. If there's a recurring job, I need to do this weekly for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example. You can see how that is built here. I'm not going to do this currently, but I'll just do a one-off of my 2 recorders. I have now these targets. So remember in the beginning when I said we are always in record. These targets are an outbound version of the thing that is captured on the server. It is a copy. This is always, always, always how we work at EVS, in that we capture to internal disk and make a downstream copy. In my case, I'm going to make an MXF and a proxy, and I'm going to write them on some storage that's been defined for me by my media manager. And the takeaway here is that if there is a downstream problem, a networking problem, storage fills up and fails, we don't fail. We have the recording, we are secure, reliable, and that's just, again, part and parcel of the solution we offer. So I'm going to put this in my folder. So there's my initials. I have starred this so it sits at the top and for easy demoing. But this is user specific, so this is my favorite, not your favorite, but my favorite, and each user is free to do as they wish here. I'm going to put it into my working folder. Now I have the opportunity to add metadata to the thing. So metadata in our system is probably warrants a whole demo session in and of itself. It's really well conceived. I can have one or any number of metadata profiles attached to this thing, to this asset, to this recording. And notice these red ones indicate a mandatory field. So the media manager has said, no, this is mandatory. You must satisfy this before you can proceed. So fine, it'll be him. Here's my fine field with I'll put Owen in there. Notice these fields can take any format. They can be free text, they can be date pickers, they can be drop-down lists with pre-populated values. Any and or all of these things are possible. So I'm just going to move on here. So I've created this. I've managed to talk long enough where this recording is now fully in the past, but that's fine. That's a fine event for us. Now this thing, like I said, is making a copy on external storage available to the edit team, available to any other thing outside of an EVS system, and available to the VMAP users. So this will now proceed at best effort. So it's going to be way faster than real time. If this event had extended up here, for example, and see it's asking me, do you want to save that time? I just added some time to my recording. This, once it hits the current time, will become a real-time event. Obviously, the frames don't exist. It will write them as fast as they can. So FYI, there is some monitoring directly here, so I can see the status of these things. These are in progress. You'll see them go green in a moment. There is more complex monitoring. The other thing I didn't really talk about is this record train. So if I double click on the image here, you can see the little play icon. Here, this is the raw record train, if you will. So now, if something was missed, there she is, I guess, voting. Something was missed in the record train, I mark it in, I mark it out. I can create a subclip of this. Sorry, I can create a subclip of this, and the same bits exist here. So I've now gone out of my very, very long buffer, and I've created a new clip, a new media asset from this recorder. Okay, this one is green, as you can see. This one now has hit real time because it's current, it's now. So I'll just quickly go here. So I'm cheating a little bit. This thing is at the top of my list because I'm sorting by creation time. So you can see the yellow status indicates this is still being captured. You can see the orange indicator here. I click there. It takes me to now. It takes me to the most current time and begins to play. Okay, so but before I get into this part of the interface, I do want to talk about file import because we're still talking about the way in. So here is a browser-based version of file import. So I have now mounted a couple of places, and I can now discover the content within them. So here's some XAVC, blah, 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 some skiing stuff. Now, to be clear, I cannot preview this. The browser does not have access to where this media file lives. So this is a view only, and I can now select it and import it. Import, very good. So that now is file importing. Typically, this is used for automation. That is, I'm receiving newswire feeds from Reuters, from the AP, from whomever. I would point to the folder. It would become a watch folder. The content that showed up there would be automatically imported, including parsing any metadata that may have been delivered as a sidecar XML or in any other format. So we will parse that metadata. We will map it to your preferred internal schema and allow you to search against it as one would expect. while I'm on the topic, so I pointed out that that is not a viewable thing. We do have an executable, a desktop application that I've just brought over here that is running. This is an executable. Remember I said everything is web-based. Well, here's the exception. This is an executable that is running on my laptop, and I am browsing and playing media from anywhere. So now I can play it. This is mounted on my local machine, so this happens to be my C drive of my laptop and stuff I have here. But it could equally be a camera card. It could equally be anything else that was of interest. So that's how camera card ingest happens in our world, be it a known manufacturer or anything else. And so I can see, I can visualize, I can mark in, mark out to do sub extractions of it. I can storyboard it, derush it. People use different terms around the planet. But I can start to assemble it, and I can deliver that either as a single bit of media that has been merged together, clip, 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 or individual clips as I wish. Okay, so let me dismiss that. I want to now just touch on logs super quickly because it's interesting and will lead to more as we go further in the demo. So I prepared this earlier, just before we started. Here is a logging session. It can contain multiple angles. So this one happens to have 2 cameras. So it's a multi-camera, or sorry, 3 cameras. It's a multi-camera event. I can switch in sync like so. I can select the camera if I know, or I can browse with the little left-right arrows, and I'm not moving in time. I'm moving across the various feeds at that time. And now I can begin to add time-based metadata to it. So I'm just going to show you quickly by going here. There you go. I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. There's my fine log note. But additionally, we have this notion of tags in the system, predefined values. So if I start typing hash, and I start typing a value that exists in the system, so I happen to know this person, Clara, is in the system, notice how I mouse over, and notice how rich these tags are. They can contain anything, links, external sources of data, pictures, anything is a usable element for us. And notice how down here it's creating a time-based version of the asset. So here again, I can mouse over and see the thing. I can double click, I can load, I can now do stuff with it, which I will show you later in the demo. But I just wanted to make a fine point as to how we make these tags useful and visible and usable, and of course searchable. So now I'm going to move on to the basic unit of work, the basic place where most people spend most of their time, which is cut. So notice, by the way, here's the skiing thing that I imported earlier. And here's the recordings I had made in the ingest scheduler. So all of those things are here. All of those things are visible. I happen to be filtering on video assets, but you can see the kind of granularity I have here. So I have some music in the system. So I can just search for that, or I can do both. I can search for sequences. Notice also I can search for Adobe projects and sequences, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But here now, like I said, is the basic unit of work. Here's my favorite folder that I have pinned up at the top. So here's my working folder. Here's a subclip that someone had made earlier. Lovely. Notice, oh, I need more content. My subclip is only 1 second and 5 frames long. I can return. I can match frame back to the original 10-minute recording, and now I'm freely navigating around. Okay, so that's cut in a nutshell. There are a million ways of filtering this. This whole notion of metadata and searching against metadata is very persistent and consistent. So for example, I can have these saved searches. I'm just looking for 9:16 clips. And here's this fine, whatever it is, came from some social media source. And so the point here is this system is completely extensible. You can define these tags as you wish. You can define these search filters as you wish. Of course, I can always do simple text search. If I search, I think I had a TikTok person in there. So notice the system is trying to help me. It's saying, oh, you just typed TIK. We think you might be interested in this. And let's take a look. That's a lovely TikTok video. So the system is trying to help the user navigate. I did not talk about the notion of productions, but in this story-centric world we live in, we have this notion of productions, which are just a metadata construct. It's just a way of associating things to a story, to a thing that is useful. An asset, to be clear, can live in one or multiple of these stories, of these productions, because it might be interesting from an economics perspective and a political perspective and a certain politician perspective. So all of those things are possible through this sort of flexible way we have of working. And again, it helps me highlight the way we handle metadata throughout the system. And you can see I can associate this metadata profile at any time within the life cycle of an asset. So I have some, I'm going to go back to my working folder. And I'll just load this one randomly. I'm now going to do some work here. I'm on the receiving end. The media is in the system, and I'm going to do some stuff. So I need a soundbite of this guy. So I'm going out. I'm working backwards. Mark in. So I've identified a portion of this thing that's interesting. Mark in, mark out. First, I could just externalize this now. Nothing further is required. Say I need to post this to social media. I have this soundbite. I can post it right away. By the way, our social media publisher will put pre-roll and post-roll on things if you wish. So there's many things I can do. The point here being, this might be enough. Maybe I just need this shot and I need to post it. Or I didn't show. I didn't show. I could easily send it to air. So anything is possible at any point in this process. So if I just needed this to go to a playout server, done. Likewise now, I can start the editorial process with what we call cut or storyboard or derush. I think I'm up to 3 today. Notice, by the way, these can be native 16:9, a normal broadcast format, or 9:16. We are sensitive to that, and we allow native support of 9:16 throughout. I'm going to put my storyboard 3, SP3, in my sequences folder. I am going to share it to my group. Now, I mentioned earlier that we support user rights and enforce user rights throughout. So here's an example. I can share it to nobody. I can share it to my group. I happen to belong to the journalists group, so I can share it. All of the journalists that live in my group now will see my work. Or I can define a custom. If I need to share this to Christoph, who is not here. Maybe he's not in this system. I thought he was. There he is. I can explicitly share it to a single user, to a group of users. If I just show groups here, you'll just see the editor's group, the producer's group. So any of those things is possible. A, from this, when I'm creating a new thing. B, visibility of media assets, folders, targets, workflows. All of that thing is common here. So fine, I made a new blank empty storyboard called SB3. My in and out are still there. I will drag and drop to begin this process. Okay, I'll go find something else. I'm doing JKL now. Sorry, everybody makes fun of me for this, but muscle memory being what it is, I always do JKL. I'm doing I, I'm doing O, I'm doing B to add that to my rough cut. As you saw, drag and drop is fine, or keyboard shortcuts. So fine, I like that shot, out, and I will add her. Here is my 3-shot storyboard. So that's how quickly I made it. First of all, the same targets exist here. So I could send this directly to social media, directly to the playout server. Those things happen instantly and happen at any point in the process. Just to be clear, this is meant to be a simple tool. The only thing I'm really allowed to do is add a dissolve here. Okay, so that's it. I beg the question a little bit, but yes, there's a little more function. So if it's an ENG camera shot and maybe there's no audio on A1 and I'm only interested in A2, I can do that. There is some routing, some audio routing, and I can do overall audio gain, but that's it. That's all you can do in this tool on purpose and by definition. But I will take this same EDL, edit decision list, for those who have not heard the term, and I will pick it up in Create, our web-based editor. So I just moved to Create. I know I'm moving fast here. I double-clicked on Storyboard 3. Here it is now in Create, our real web-based editing tool. Notice I'm doing A&S. Notice there's my dissolve that I had created earlier. Lovely. But this is now a real editorial tool. So I can do audio only. I can do video only. I can do effects. There's a lot more function I can do. I have a real trim function. So let me hide that and I will start trimming. So as I grab the trim handle here, I can shorten. Notice the left side is shortening. Notice the right side is unaffected because I'm doing a ripple. So when I release this, I've now trimmed that outgoing shot and reduced my overall duration. I rippled. Undo. I'll do it again. Now if I hold the Control key, notice how the color changes. And if I start doing this, now I'm doing like a dual roller trim. I'm overwriting the portion of that shot on the right with the content on the left. If I release, you'll now see the result of that, where we're deep into the dissolve, the camera push on her. So undo just because. And all of these things are normal edit functions. This should not be a learning curve for anybody. Here are the keyboard shortcuts. Again, JKL, INO, there's no mystery here. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here, nor do we need to add learning complexity. One thing I will point out, because I quite like it, there's a 0 key I'm hitting now that enables and disables the audio tracks. The tilde key does similar to video, and I'll talk about effects in a second. But I want to promote this. I want to show this now in Adobe Premiere, if I could find the right tab. So now I am RDP'd into my Adobe system. Okay, so this is Premiere, standard Premiere setup. Before I begin, I'm going to show you how we manage Adobe team projects and Adobe sequences. So team projects are a supported condition, not a necessary condition. They're useful for some things. They're a pain for some things. We are, again, agnostic to it. I can make a new project. I'll do it quickly here. Make a real name. Sorry, Azerty keyboard. Just one. So I've now created a new Teams project and I will load it. It will prompt me to make a new sequence within this. So I'll call it sequence 1. Notice we have this broadcast date and time. This is not a requirement, but it's interesting. So if I say this thing is going to air tonight at 11 p.m. Okay, we do things based on that, including automatically restoring from archive, including various workflows that can be triggered based on that time. Again, not necessary, but interesting. So I've created this new project. I've created a sequence within it. I will now go to my importer, and I will go to my favorites folder and my sequences. Here's my storyboard 3. I will double click. And it will import. I'm using air quotes. I'm not on camera, but trust me, I'm using air quotes here. No media is moving in this process. I'm just pointing to things, and therefore it's instant. So here you go, is the same EDL that I had open in Create is now here. Okay, so that's how fast we do things. That's how fast we work. Now, by the way, I'm going to publish these changes, these things I've done, because I want to show you the result back here inside of, inside of Manage. So I will now navigate to Manage our media management application. So first, here's my clip, my original recording that I had used. Notice now it's telling me it's used in these two sequences. This being an Adobe sequence, hence the logo. This being VMAP create sequence. So this media file we now know is used here. By the way, just while I'm here, the media file has a high-res and a low-res component. We're displaying file info about the thing. Here's the physical path on storage for those who might be interested. All of those things are surfaced, and all of those things are made easy to manage from the media manager's perspective. The idea here being now there is a real media management tool for Adobe Premiere editors. So great, how do I delete? How do I archive? How do I purge? Through this tool, again, we know where media is used. If I go to delete this, so I just right-click delete, it's gonna complain. It's gonna tell me, hey, it's used in these two places. You are not allowed to delete. Now, if a media manager came along, they would have the option to subclip, materialize is the term we use, to make partial extractions of these things. If I use 10 seconds in this 2-hour clip, what do you want to do? Do you want to save the 2 hours or do you want to save the 10 seconds? And by the way, the answer is both. Both are options. These things, this media management stuff is all automatable. So I can have a workflow that runs every 5 or maybe once a day at 2 a.m. or whatever you want that says purge. In our parlance, purge means delete the high res from nearline and archive me. So a workflow has a user-friendly name and can again kind of concatenate any amount of work within. So I'm just looking quickly at the time, and I'm going fast. Are there any questions, Owen, that we should address here?
There are a couple actually so far. One of them is, how can multiple users edit collaboratively in Create? Are there any tools to allow you to work together?
Of course. So I'm only logged in as one person here, so it's a little difficult to demonstrate. But if I go here back to Create, so it will prompt me. The system will prompt me. If I try and load this thing, and I was not the owner and Owen had it open, it would say, hey, Owen has this open. What do you want to do? Duplicate, option 1, or take control, assuming you're an authorized user, is option 2. So yes, again, who made that original subclip, who made that original storyboard, and then who was the editor could all be different people. So obviously I'm doing it just as me, just in this demo, but the presumption is a producer is helping his editors by subclipping, by rough cutting, by derushing, whatever the term is. So anything in the system is available to any, remember, any authorized user for collaboration. What else do we got?
Yes, when publishing media, can you export a sidecar XML with custom metadata?
Yes, we can. So for those of you familiar with EVS solutions, we have used this notion of sidecar XML for metadata for many years. It is useful for integrating with other systems and even interoperating amongst ourselves, by the way. So yes, we can export with customizable sidecar XML.
Thank you very much. And then the last one is, can I import audio-only files and use them in Create?
Yes, I think I showed here.
Yes.
Bloop, bloop. So yes, this is considered a stereo track. And I can use this. Oh, I didn't show graphics either. Sorry, let me just do that because it's visual. So yes, audio only is fine, as are graphics. this. Let me just clear my filter. So bloop, and I can add this graphic item to, oh, I have my video track disabled. There we go. I can add this overlay. This was a ProRes 4444 with embedded alpha that we imported into the system. Coming soon is a template browser for various of the graphics things in the world, and we'll integrate those as is interesting to us. So one last thing before I leave this topic, because this part of the demo will answer a lot of questions, I suspect. Keyframes, so sorry if I didn't point out before, the waveforms are here. Keyframes are here, so if I click the effects badge, on this under track here, here is the blur, the tracking blur that I have built. By the way, I just did it manually pretty quickly. We will have an AI tool that will track a point and do it automatically for you. Notice I also have this other layer here. V2 is a masking layer. So I have a little cropped bit there to protect the lovely phone number, just in case any one of you people want to call him, whatever it is he's selling. So I'm mindful of the time, and I'm about to hit the end here. So, but this demonstrates a bunch of things, keyframes, effects, and such. So I wanted to show that. By the way, here's the mixdown dialog. I did not discuss that earlier, but I have 16 tracks involved in my edit. What do you want to do on delivery? So here's how one defines that output matrix.